Cool. All right. So this is the first demo for the LD4P Kafka Spark pipeline sprint or work cycle. What we are trying to set up is a proof of concept leveraging the Kafka and Spark technologies to do MARC to BIBFRAME 2 conversion. What we will demo today are different parts as needed in this sort of experimental work. And we're going to start with Darren, who's going to show some of your tests on deploying and operational support for either Kafka and or Spark. Cool.
Okay.
Thank you, Darren.
So what I've been working on is a GitHub project that I started about a week ago over the weekend, where I was looking at using the Ruby client to interact with AWS services. And this project kind of blossomed over that weekend into setting up Zookeeper, and I've continued working on it to install Kafka. It's a general purpose Capistrano utility, and it can provide installation options for any number of services to AWS nodes. And at the moment, it's focused on, as I said, Zookeeper and Kafka, and it has options for setting up different environments. I'm focused on a test environment where it's using T2 micros, very small machines. I've got 3 Zookeeper nodes for a Zookeeper quorum. You have to have an odd number of Zookeepers. And 3 Kafkas, again, for a Kafka broker quorum. Again, you have to have an odd number for leader elections. You have to set up Zookeeper first. Kafka depends on Zookeeper for its leader elections. So coordinating it is a bit tricky, and there's a lot of details to take care of. But the documentation on it helps you kind of get up and start up and running. And there's also some tips in the documentation there about, you know, where to configure things and how to find the code. It's possible that folks could work on it with me, or we could fork it to DLSS. At the time I started on the weekend, it was kind of a personal project, and I didn't really know if this would be consistent with DLSS practices or not. So I thought it was just safer to keep it in my personal repo for the moment. We'll see what happens when we integrate further with DevOps and operations around these things. I didn't want to clutter our GitHub repo with this yet. The demo is, the live demo is just, I'm connecting from my laptop to the Kafka brokers. So I've got some aliases here for the Kafka brokers that are set up in my Etsy hosts, and I'm writing to a topic, deal with a test. So we'll call this hello LD4P demo. And as I type this into the console producer, the console consumer down here should be able to consume that message. And there it is, it came through. So that's the core functionality tested for the deployment. And it's a worldwide open thing. Anybody who has the connection details should be able to replicate this brief demo.
Great. Thanks, Darren.
Okay.
And so on that is, well, that will help guide the pipeline work, which we're working on in our GitHub LD4P pipeline repository, but we're not ready to demo today, so that's fine. However, Josh, are you able to, okay, so let's jump to you. Oh, can you take the sharing settings?
Do I disconnect? Do I stop sharing now?
Yeah, there we go. Yep, thank you.
Cool, man.
And so one of the parts of this pipeline, like we said, that this is a conversion pipeline pulling MARC to go to BIBFRAME, but the MARC will be pulled from Symphony, which is our integrated library system. And we want to be able to pull MARC such that it grabs the most recently edited, created, or loaded MARC records, bibliographic MARC records. So that's what Josh is, you're going to demo some of that work.
Right. Cool. So on our Symphony dev server here, we have Kafka running. And the point of this is so that we can continuously read our log files and our other data source files in order to stream them to the pipeline. So here on Symphony, we have, just to see, there's, and we use Confluent Kafka. Kafka is up and running. If we do status of the connectors, we can see that Kafka is connected to this file source, unis for Unicorn, the Unicorn file system. And if we do Confluent status for that connector, we can just see more details about it that's running at the IPs and ports. So in this directory, we have the just a simple consumer that will read the data from the topic and then just put out to the console. So I'm going to start this up. Now it's going to spit stuff out to the console, hopefully. So right now it's reading just the directories in the log file here. So this is the history log file. And it's reading specifically every day. It cycles which log file it's looking at with the connector. And there's some scripts to do that. And today we have the 2017-08-29 hist file. So if I just cat something older, so 2017-02 onto that.
You want to append it or do you want to override it?
It doesn't matter. I can append it.
It's just data.
It's just data, yeah. So as we see here, there we go. So then, this class can obviously be expanded to do something more with the data, parse it, get the C keys, send it to where to
C keys being our bibliographic record.
Yes,
identifier.
do a catalog dump to get the MARC data, etc.
Great.
So that's it.
Cool, thanks.
Josh, a question, is that pulling the data out on, say, a nightly basis, or is it real-time updates to
real-time?
No, so that's what he just showed, was that by changing the log file, it was immediately detected and incorporated in the Kafka instance.
So that seems novel and powerful.
It is.
Absolutely. This is definitely something we've already identified as a possible low-hanging deliverable from this project. Like something that has immediate utility for others.
Like immediate output.
And it's not.
Search for.
Exactly.
It's not. That strategy is, of course, not unique to this technology.
Nope.
But this technology is well suited for it.
Absolutely. Cool. Okay. So thank you for that demo. I guess if people have questions or comments, we do have our LD4P data pipeline. Let me share my screen so people can see it. We do have our LD4P data pipeline, which we're happy to, or GitHub repo, which we're happy to have people open questions there as a space to follow up.